In the annals of ancient Greek history, Sparta emerges, a name synonymous with indomitable will and iron discipline. To comprehend the phenomenon of this exceptional polis, one must delve into its past, beginning with an analysis of its enigmatic origins, which laid the foundation for its future greatness. Next, we will scrutinize Sparta's distinctive system of governance, a complex and unparalleled structure that set it apart from other Hellenic city-states and ensured remarkable stability for centuries. Equally captivating will be an exploration of the internal organization of Spartan society, where every facet of life was rigorously regulated and subordinated to a common purpose. Finally, particular attention will be paid to the legendary Spartan education system, known as the Agoge, which transformed young citizens into fearless warriors and devoted defenders of their homeland. All these carefully examined aspects will uncover the secrets of Sparta's extraordinary strength and longevity, offering a comprehensive understanding of a civilization where valor and order were elevated to absolute principles of existence. Overall, it can be asserted that Sparta, a prominent Greek polis, developed a truly unique social order. This state entity emerged on the site of an ancient Achaean-era city due to Dorian settlers. The arriving conquerors subjugated not only Sparta itself but also the surrounding region of Laconia. Those Laconian inhabitants who resisted were forcibly enslaved by the Spartans. However, these slaves were not the private property of individual citizens but belonged to the entire community. Such state-owned slaves were called helots. Land was also considered the collective property of the entire citizen body, although it was divided into individual plots, one for each Spartiate. Nevertheless, the Spartiates themselves did not engage in farming. The cultivation of each plot was entrusted to local inhabitants who had voluntarily acknowledged Spartan rule, as well as to settlers from other regions. These individuals retained personal freedom but were deprived of civic rights and obligated to pay taxes. Spartiates, in turn, were exempt from all tax levies. In antiquity, Sparta, like many other Greek city-states, faced the problem of limited land resources. In search of a solution to this problem, the Spartans turned their attention to neighboring territories. Thus, the region of Messenia fell under the onslaught of Spartan warriors. The fate of the Messenians was divided. Some chose to abandon their homeland, while others were reduced to the status of disenfranchised helots, swelling the ranks of Sparta's oppressed population. Initially, in Sparta, as in most Greek polis, an aristocracy held sway. Popular assemblies became a mere formality, where citizens were relegated to the role of silent spectators, approving or rejecting the decisions of the Council of Nobles. However, over time, aristocratic power underwent significant changes. Notably, unlike other polis, these changes did not occur under pressure from the common people. The nobility themselves made concessions, realizing that internal unity was essential for keeping the helots in subjugation. Equality among citizens came to be regarded as the cornerstone of Spartan societal stability. Spartans believed that their laws, which regulated every aspect of life, were bestowed upon them by the legendary lawgiver Lycurgus. To ensure the inviolability of the rules he established, Lycurgus resorted to a cunning stratagem. He made the Spartans swear an oath that they would not alter the laws until his return, and then departed for Delphi, where he voluntarily ended his life. Striving for equality, Lycurgus decreed that no Spartiate should stand out from the others. All of them lived in identical houses, wore similar clothing, used the same utensils and weapons, and even ate together. The land plots, which provided citizens with sustenance, were not their personal property. They could not be sold, gifted, or inherited. Furthermore, Spartiates were forbidden from engaging in trade and crafts. To prevent the accumulation of wealth, cumbersome iron ingots were used instead of gold and silver coins, which were extremely impractical as a means of saving. At the apex of the state hierarchy stood 5 ephors, whose authority extended even over the Council of Elders. These officials represented the interests of ordinary Spartans, embodying a distinct counterbalance to the aristocracy. The monarchical institution in Sparta also persisted, but in a somewhat unusual form. 2 kings ruled here, elected by the council and subordinate to the ephors. The upbringing of Spartans constituted a rigorous system of preparation for life, commencing from the earliest childhood. Neighboring peoples may have considered it excessively cruel, but the Spartans themselves took pride in it. Weak newborn boys were mercilessly cast into a chasm, while robust ones were taken from their families at the age of 7 and declared property of the state. Boys were grouped into detachments where they were taught 3 primary virtues: unquestioning obedience, resilience to suffering, and the art of warfare. Their attire consisted of only one cloak, and their bed was a reed mat they prepared themselves. For the slightest misdemeanors, they were subjected to corporal punishment. Theft was neither encouraged nor forbidden. Punishment was meted out only for being caught with stolen goods. Once a year, every Spartan was beaten without apparent reason, to harden their spirit and teach them to endure physical pain. Education was laconic: basics of music, singing, writing skills, and, most importantly, the art of concise and expressive speech. Spartans became full citizens only at the age of 30. Thanks to such a stringent system of training, Sparta forged the most formidable army in Greece. Spartan warriors were distinguished not only by their physical strength and endurance but also by exceptional bravery and discipline. Disobeying an order could lead not only to physical punishment but also to universal contempt, which frequently drove the offender to suicide. Sparta had no need for defensive walls, as its inhabitants believed their city was protected by the courage and valor of its citizens. However, the primary task of the Spartan army was not so much to repel external threats as to keep the numerous helots, who constantly rebelled against their servitude, in subjugation. Sparta, possessing the strongest army in Greece, often acted as an arbiter in interstate conflicts. Although equality formally reigned within Sparta itself, in foreign policy it supported aristocratic and oligarchic regimes, overthrowing tyrants who relied on popular support. Most Greek polis acknowledged Sparta's superiority and considered an alliance with it an honor. Such, in broad outline, is the history of the Spartan state, whose military might and austere way of life left an indelible mark on the history of ancient Greece.